Today, we're going to take a brief reprieve from having a look at UK politics and have a look across the pond, shall we say, to have a look what's going on in the land of the free in America. Because, quite frankly, potentially next year in 2026, and towards the end of 2026 in particular, you could see an almighty clash. Indeed, you could even potentially see a MAGA Civil War, the types of which we have never even seen before. And it is all centered around one very key question: who should succeed Donald Trump? Now, some of you might go, oh, but Donald Trump will just run forever. He'll change the Constitution or something like that. Oh, no, absolutely not. Make no mistake. There are enough people vying at this moment, as you will see in a moment, that would be, shall we say, kicked into touch very easily. So anyone who might say, oh, but Donald Trump will, just run next time. No, ain't gonna happen. And as you'll see in a moment, quite clearly why. But make no mistake, next year, the succession war for who replaces Donald Trump will absolutely kick off. And there are a number of factors going into play here, especially as who's who and who indeed might be in the running and who might be on the outside. Also running, it could get very, very interesting very, very quickly. So, as always, before we do get more into this, please do, of course, remember to click on the like, share, and the subscribe button. And, of course, don't forget to ring the bell as well. And, of course, down below, there's the Patreon page, there's the Buy Me Coffee link, there's the YouTube thank you button, and, of course, as always, there's the YouTube membership button as well. So thank you very much to everyone who does help and support the channel that way. And, of course, don't forget to leave your comments down below about what you think about all this, because I'd be very interested in seeing what you think. So, succession. This, in a way, has sort of never happened in American politics. The Donald Trump MAGA movement has pretty much been focused on Donald Trump. However, everyone knows, Trump's, after 2026, Trump's sort of done. But you might say, something interesting happened just a short while ago, in fact, last weekend, which may even trigger these succession crisis for who takes over from Trump quite early. And it comes down to the number one guy who will probably most likely be, again, we say probably, the favorite to replace Donald Trump. And that is, of course, none other than, of course, his vice president, JD Vance. And Vance, in particular, recently went to meet with Rupert Murdoch and his son, trying officially at that point to try and get the, the tip of the hat, the pull of the furlock to say, hey, you need to start laying the groundwork for me to be Trump's successor. Especially, of course, on Fox News. And that ultimately will be the key. And Vance knows that. That's why he went to see them. Now, of course, being vice president as well, he has a big media profile. We pretty much saw, if you remember the whole NATO debacle, where he went out and said, you Europeans aren't pulling your weight. Everyone basically said that was an audition piece to the MAGA base to say, hey, I'm here. I'm the next obvious candidate. So make no mistake, JD Vance probably going to be the biggest player in the succession wars. However, when it comes to people in the administration, there's another player. And there is another player indeed. A lot of people probably might discount him, but make no mistake, he is a player. And that is, of course, Marco Rubio. Yes, little Rubio, who originally ran against Trump all the way back in 2015 and got absolutely destroyed by Trump. So much so, he even bent the knee and even ended up in this administration. Now, is he there to try and win more of Trump's favor? Well, certainly over the past couple of months, it has seemed that Marco Rubio hasn't been, shall we say, the most comfortable about that. We all remember, of course, the moment where Trump was tearing into Zelensky. Literally, Marco Rubio was hoping that the sofa would just swallow him whole and just he could just disappear from that scene. There has been, of course, a lot of rumor and talk that he's been trying to sort of get closer to Trump, to try and get some sort of relationship so that when it comes time to that asking point, that question point, that he can go, hey, I'd like to run for president. Would you give me your nomination? Make no mistake, big part of the succession war is who will get Trump's nomination, who will get his pick. Now, of course, the whole Epstein thing is kicking off. We've seen that, of course, damaging Trump a bit. It's making a lot of the MAGA people really strain their loyalties to Trump and all that. So maybe that could have a whole play into this as well. You know, this technically situation is still a long time off. So, hey, some of these predictions may be proved wrong with given time, but you never know. So maybe Donald Trump's blessing might not be as powerful in a couple of years. Who knows? We'll wait and see on that one. But make no mistake, he wants that approval. The next one, of course, you're now going outside the administration. So, in, of course, this whole crazy world of MAGA, especially current elected officials, who's the most likeliest one to go for it? Well, you may have also seen quite recently Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people, recently was caught on camera dissing Trump. In fact, apparently, this is not the first time. She's now apparently started trying to distance herself from Donald Trump. Why might that be? Well, it might be in particular, she senses the Epstein thing could be quite damaging. And of course, if it is quite damaging, maybe you need to have a little bit of distance. And that if you have that little bit of distance, might do you, shall we say, a bit of good in a future election campaign. Exactly. Marjorie Taylor Greene could very well be someone who could do that. Now, there are a numerous candidates when it comes to this of who might do it. So we're not going to go over everyone, but I certainly want to pick out, to say, the big players. And of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene has to be one. The other one, of course, and this is the interesting one, because now you get to talking about people who aren't elected. And one thing a lot of people have asked, what about a member of the Trump family? Because remember, Trump has two sons. Of course, there's Ivanka in as well. A lot of people have asked the question, would one of those people maybe run? Or would even maybe Jared run with Ivanka so that she could become first lady? And thus, that way, still gain the whole Trump MAGA movement crowd blessing type of thing. After all, Trump absolutely go on tour with Ivanka for campaigning for for a husband to get the nomination. That is a big possibility. There's rumors that, of course, maybe the Trump sons, one of them might be planning a run for Congress in 2026. How much that is confirmed or not, it's still a big rumor, but it's possible. We'll see. And of course, the final one that you should not discount because he keeps on talking it up, and there's every possibility he might indeed go for it, is, of course, Steve Bannon. Bannon is the interesting wild card in all these succession crises, because if you could think of a bigger media personality that could try and rally the MAGA base, or even, shall we say, turn the MAGA base against, should we say, certain individuals, maybe we've already mentioned, like JD Vance, maybe even Donald Trump himself, should this Epstein stuff prove to be really damaging. Make no mistake, Bannon could very well run. Now, each one will carry their own individual baggage, and talking about that election itself would be even crazy because you don't even know who the Democrats are going to nominate. But this is looking like, at least for the moment, a couple of the key players. There will ultimately be more who emerge, I have no doubt. But make no mistake, these are just a sum of the small smattering of these key players who will ultimately play their part in these succession wars. Make no mistake, this ain't going to happen now. Towards the end of 2026, that is when it is going to happen. And oh boy, 2027, absolutely, we could see a full-blown civil war in an attempt to try and win, the blessing of Papa Trump, take the blessing, child. And we'll see, of course, what happens in that. But nevertheless, that could be something incredibly fun to watch, shall we say, when that starts to kick off. So as always, let me know what you think about all this. Is there everyone you think I've missed off the list? Because honestly, there are a lot of other people and a lot of other contenders you could very easily say could also put their hat in the ring for this run, or this, should we say, this race, and this indeed succession war, and how they could indeed affect a potential succession war. Steve Bannon himself may not even run. He may just be talking this up as an attempt to try and say, hey, you should come to me and I will give you my blessing and I will give you my backing. And again, all that stuff that will come with it. So it's all still to play for at this moment in time. But make no mistake, this is going to be a big squabble for the crown. And with no guarantee, of course, that they would win. But oh boy, it will be very interesting to watch this fight. Very interesting to watch this fight indeed. So as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.